Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the OmniTalk Fast 5. It's September 20th, 2018. We're trying something a little bit different today. We really liked the approach we took last week out at shop.org. Ann and I sat down in the podcast booth for the show, and we sat down with Healy Cipher, and we did a kind of a guest commentary version on the Fast 5, just the three of us. And we thought with Carter now being back in Minneapolis, we thought, hey, let's try that format again, kind of a roundtable rapid-fire discussion about the topics of the week, kind of a merge of what we've done in the Fast 5 historically with just me, and then bringing Ann Carter in on the OmniTalk after the 5 as well. So we're going to try that here. We've got a great studio. You can see we got a great studio here as well. And so we're going to give it a go. And so let's kick it off. I'll start it off roundtable style. So the top 5 stories of the week. Story number 1. I know Ann is dying to talk about this, so I'm probably going to cede the floor to her, But Amazon, oh my God, Amazon is in the news. Amazon has been in the news so much. So first of all, this week, let's just talk about what they've done. Amazon opened up another Go store in Chicago.
Right.
Okay. They also debuted their storefronts, which I know Carter and I were talking about that earlier in the week. And for those of you that haven't seen that, storefronts is essentially their play online to call out a curated assortment of products and experiences that you can find at your local mom and pop shops throughout the country. Basically, their digital storefront for mom and pop retail. And then, of course, last week we already talked about the Home and Garden pop-up store in the Mall of America, which, again, is basically going to be the technology, guide shop, scan and go platform for any mom and pop retailer to just stand up any operation they want.
Good housekeeping.
At a moment. Good housekeeping. Sorry, What did I say? I'm sorry. I apologize.
Home and Garden.
Home and
but
Garden.
there are
I keep
home
doing
and garden
that.
materials being sold.
You're close.
The Good Housekeeping.
That's true. Yeah. No, right. They go hand in hand. I always do that. I don't know why. But then today, or last night, we got word that now the new thing is 3,000 Amazon Go stores.
Unbelievable.
By
casual
2021.
expansion.
Yeah, it
Casual.
seems like, let's just ease into it, Amazon.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's gotten to a point where, like, I'm anxious about it. I don't know how you guys are feeling.
You're
and
getting a little stressed.
I was trying
Why
to
are you
think
stressed about it? I'd be curious to dissect the fact of why you're making you anxious.
and
It's just
totally
the number.
valid point, Carter. And the problem
And I'm
is
coming from a guy who has never opened a retail store.
Here we go. Hold on. Let me start my watch. You two, go.
so
I'll let you go.
So
Ann.
I fully acknowledge. I was trying to think about this. Like, is this what my parents or grandparents felt like when Google Street View came out and they were like, holy shit, somebody can look at my house. They have a picture of my house, right? Amazon announcing
Yeah, this is totally different.
is just rocking me to my core because, again, it was like we're talking about the Fast 5 this week. Yeah, they're opening in Chicago. Again, don't be surprised. But then they hit you with 3,000 stores. Like, just to give you a sense of context, like, if they open one store a week, which they have done for the last 3 weeks, if they open one store a week, that's only 52 stores in a year. We're talking 3 years from now, 3,000 stores are opening. And what that's going to do to, the retail that we know, and I guess even that people don't know. Like, people that listen to us are primarily in the retail industry, but this is a reason where people who our parents, their friends, like people that care nothing about retail need to start paying attention, because Amazon is turning into more than just a retailer. They are not just selling books. They are basically bigger than the United States government.
So
I'm going to say it.
I think Ann just shamelessly plugged OmniTalk and why everyone should listen to it in that little diatribe. But
did.
before we let her go any further, Carter, let's let you jump in.
I was going to say, should we jump to how millennial are you?
Probably.
Here's the thing: is
Probably.
the thing you talk about your grandparents and all the people who are quickly should or quote be concerned about what's going on here. They don't need to be concerned at all, because it's just going to benefit their life in immense ways. Like, they're not even going to know that that's an Amazon store on the corner. They're just going to know it's the best shopping experience they have, and they're going to stop going to every other Walgreens and realize that it's much easier just to go to that other store on the corner. They're not going to know it's Amazon or the rate of expansion. And I think it's important for us to get a little bit out of our bubble of like retail,
Right.
and what the decimation of this expansion is really going to create, and realize I use the word positive benefit with a huge asterisk, because I totally understand that our listeners and us, we have to be concerned of the wake that this is going to make. But I think to the general public, there's a reason they're expanding to 3,000 stores. They feel confident in expanding to 3,000 stores because it's a premium, better experience than anything else.
So, Carter, you're not stressed. And is very
But I also
stressed.
got to remember that I come from a much less experienced, different place as a millennial. Just 3,000 stores, whatever, right? It doesn't matter. You two have more experience in the actual opening.
Yeah,
right?
this is fantastic.
See, this is what I worry about because
I'm gonna have to jump in
I
here
have
on
to be
this one
very
now.
careful what I say
No,
because
no,
I don't understand the Wake in its entirety.
Actually, you never have to be careful about what you say because, being candid is a hallmark of Omni Talk. But no, I think this is fantastic discussion. There's one thing, if you guys haven't, if you haven't watched it yet, and I know Ann, I haven't had a chance to ask Carter if he's seen it, but I know Ann's watched a part of it. And for the audience out there, if you haven't watched, Jeff Bezos last week gave an interview, and I'm going to find it here. It was with the Economic Club of Washington. It's about an hour long, but it's a fascinating watch, and I highly recommend everyone watch it. And I kind of come down in the middle of you two guys. I think there's things that scare me about some of those announcements, and then there's things that don't scare me. For example, like Amazon being the technology backbone for mom and pops to start up and basically reduce the barriers to entry that people have to start new businesses. I think that's awesome. Like the world needs that. Amazon Go, 3,000 stores. That starts to get a little scary to me because that's something they're able to do because of the power that they have that other people don't have. And if you listen closely to Bezos' interview, some of the motifs I find really fascinating, and he talks about this when he talks more about Blue Origin, but I have to think it permeates how he thinks about Amazon, is that he starts talking about infrastructure and private companies being able to be the ones who are able to provide the infrastructure that governments and other entities can't provide. And that's where I start to get a little worried. I think that's where some of Ann's fear comes from, is that Amazon's starting to get to a place where they're almost becoming or have the potential to become more important than government or those entities that provide infrastructure for us on a daily basis, to a point where we're never going to be able to pull the needle out of our arm to do it a different way. So, Carter, I'm curious because I see the eyes kind of furrow there. So what are you thinking?
Yeah, and I think, you bring that up, and I think I was looking at the argument and debate that Anna and I had in a little bit of a different lens because this is a whole other topic that I think we could talk for hours about. But I think, and I was actually just talking to someone else this weekend about this of why is it scary or why is it different when you start talking about infrastructure? But you have companies like Amazon, and I think this is apparent on the news we've seen in the last 6 months, realize that why would they pay someone else to give them health insurance when in reality they could just do it much better and cheaper, right? And they're going to start with their own employees, but who's to say that Prime's not going to come with a little bit of a premium to jump in on, and who's to say they can't build their own hospitals? Who's to say they can't build everything else? Why would they pay taxes to build their own roads and buildings and power and everything else when they could do it better, they could do it cheaper, they could, and I think that is the limit on, and I think, once again.
And that is how he's talking about space,
and
which is really interesting.
Well, and Galloway has, the thing where he's like, the only thing they're missing is defense, right? The only thing they're missing is a military. And in reality, right, like how hard would that be?
You haven't seen Jeff Bezos' pictures recently. He's working out
I was going to say,
pretty substantially.
He's going to take care of that independently, right? No, but I think it's a huge thing, right? And what is the role of companies like Amazon in the world we live in today? And I think you put that lens on, and now we're, I think, at 50,000 feet rather than 500 feet, where the debate Ann and I had was you start to realize, wow, like they could have 3,000 locations around the country, physical store locations that are ruling or placing a.
And I think that's and we'll move on here, but I think that's the important thing here is that this is a topic people probably shouldn't be just sitting on the sidelines observing anymore. I think that's probably what Ann was going to say too, is I think you've got to be aware of this. And so I think as for the loyal listeners out there, please help spread the word. This is important. The big thing that got me this week too, and then, we'll move on, is the unlock for me was Amazon probably has close to, in the United States, 80 million people already using their app. Other retailers, nowhere near the saturation, and that's almost going to be impossible to overcome if that app can be just a ubiquitous part of everyone's life, whether it's through retail, whether it's through healthcare, you name it. That's really hard to get to.
And our data. Starting with our children who have Amazon Echoes in their bedrooms, their nurseries.
In their nurseries. So, oh man, so more to come on that. I'm starting to think.
Can we do this again next week?
I need a cigarette.
I know.
Yeah, right. Where do you guys want to go next? Carter, let's do roundtable to you.
Sweet. Want to go to number 2 here? All right.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I come, and as I mentioned, I come from a spot where you go from online into physical retail rather than physical retail into online, and that's my
Right.
perspective. And
Awesome.
and I think some of the stories that come to the top of my radar are about online companies bringing some of the things that they've gotten so right and so perfect online and bringing it into the physical location. So the big story that I love today or this week is Stripe, which I think
Stripe.
everyone who's listening has used Stripe, whether they've known it or not. But Stripe is the company that processes your credit card on e-commerce sites. So if you've ever signed up for a subscription or bought really much of anything online, Stripe processed your credit card. The cool thing is that Stripe is actually launching a in-store service called Terminal that's going to bring some of the power of what they've been able to perfect online into actual physical retail stores. So think of payment processing online actually brought into the store through an actual hardware device that shops are going to be able to customize and use as you check out or transact with whatever they might be doing there. So the first 2 companies that are going to be doing it, Glossier obviously, and then Warby Parker.
Right.
And I think you have to look at
Those are some big next generation companies too.
Totally. And so I think the big criticism, which would come out, I think, from anyone, even us who are in the industry each and every day, is the fact that, well, hang on, doesn't Square really have a market here that you're going to go head on with them? Isn't Square really figuring out a way to enable these mom and pop physical retail stores to enable, commerce in a more digital focus? And their thing is that they are not worried about the coffee shop. They're not worried about the little store down the road. They're worried about these big tech origin companies. So think about like Warby Parker, who now are making inroads into actual physical stores and taking what Warby Parker has done online through the customization and the whole experience they've done online. And how can Stripe help them bring that same experience into the physical store location? So they're not looking to put this terminal product in, the coffee shop down the road. They're looking at the, 3,000 or whatever
Yeah,
stores.
they're thinking bigger than thinking SMB. But I think I think the funny thing here that people need to realize too, just from the vantage point that we've had on some of the work that Anna have done in the past, but like there's a huge discrepancy between the needs of, say, the local coffee shop, even Glossier, which what does Glossier have now? And 2 stores, they said, at shop.org?
Well, yes,
1.5.
physical stores, and then they're doing pop-ups.
Yeah,
so,
and pop-ups. And then let's say Walmart, right? There's a whole host of needs there, and the battleground of that middle territory, and like when you start to get into questions, and maybe they're not relevant over time. How do you handle cash? How do you give 100 employees in a store access to the till? Let's say, like these are all very taxes. These are all very complicated things that are easy when you're easy for somebody online to migrate into stores when you're talking about a Warby Parker or a Glossier installation. But when you start talking big time next generation retail, point of sale systems need to be incredibly more robust, most likely, than what some of these are right now.
But do you think that any point of sale system, Square, Stripe, whoever it might be, Amazon now is going into this market?
Oh yeah,
I think
they've got it.
If you're going to be processing online payments, you have to be thinking of the physical store experience too. I mean, it's just going to have to go that way, right? Why? I mean, I guess, and maybe this is an ignorant thing to say, but why would you at this point, knowing where retail is going, not be thinking omni-channel retail experience, physical and digital?
Yeah, I think if you're going to be a successful bricks and mortar retailer, you're going to have to, think about that. We actually have a company planned for the audience up here called Pointy, which actually takes basically what they do is and you'll hear more about this in an upcoming Spotlight series, but basically what they do is they take your point of sale data and information, and they'll easily stand up a website for you. So it's then searchable online. Like that's just even the first and foremost thing before you even try to conduct and transact commerce online.
And I think it's important to look at both sides. You look at a company like Pointy who's looking at, oh, mom and pop shop, you got this physical leather goods store that you've done such a great job with.
Yeah.
And obviously you're going to want to sell online, so let's make it easy for you.
Yeah.
Where in this case, right, Stripe is saying, oh, and obviously Warby Parker's a little bit of a different story.
Yeah.
But you've got this incredible online experience that you've perfected and made amazing. Let us help you, bridge the gap into the physical location. Yeah. And I think you're starting to see more and more companies, Bonobos, like even some of the things from like Allbirds, who now has, pop-up stores in New York where they're able to, actually transact shoes, right? I think that is the bridge they're looking for initially. Now, who's to say where the end is? Chris, as you mentioned, it's a huge territory, right? But I think that was what I'm excited to see, or this is what I'm excited to see actually come to life and see what aspects of online retail they can bring into the store.
This is going to be an active space. I was just talking about that this morning with Flex Receipts, we interviewed last week. This is just going to be an incredibly active space. All right, well, let's keep it moving because I'm sure the audience is like, all right, really? Point of sale? You guys did that much time on point of sale? Anne, where do you want to go next?
Well, let's talk about physical experiences that don't have a point of sale currently. I want to talk about the Taobao Maker Festival in China. Do you guys know about this?
No.
So
Interesting.
Alibaba used to have a section on their site where they would feature makers and give them the Alibaba platform to sell their product. But this year, they held a 4-day festival in China, and it featured over 200 makers. So this is everybody from animal and kind of products like home pet products to all the way to technology and live fashion shows and products made by people throughout China. And what I think is really interesting about this is as we see this huge move into pop-up marketplaces, the challenge becomes how do you find all of these makers and how do you keep an experience that's changing, that's ongoing, that's bringing different product to view and directly to the consumer before they invest in either a physical space or really like blowing out this online space. So at this festival, there you have the 200 makers on featured. There's no actual purchasing happening, which is another interesting point. Nothing is purchased on site. They can purchase this on Alibaba later on, but there's no transacting happening in the space. It's strictly exploration and discovery, which I think is fascinating.
What do they do? Everything on their mobile phone, like as they see what they like?
Yeah, so there's no transacting like physically in the space. There is a space. They will be featured on Alibaba at some point in time, but essentially it's about being there, immersing yourself in the experience and real experiential kind of marketing for these companies and their products. And it's only going to get bigger. It doubled in size last year, and so I think this is a true kind of hallmark for the United States, especially as we start to see some of these maker markets expand, and as we see sourcing for real retail as a service platforms.
Pop-up retail. Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, it's funny when as I was listening to you talk there. One of the things that's interesting to me, just from my background in merchandising, I always found it crazy that you would go to these trade shows, like Toy Fair is a big one, or the furniture markets in Las Vegas or High Point, I think it's North Carolina. And you'd go and you'd look at these beautiful showrooms of product, and they were all designed to allow the manufacturers to sell to the retailers. And so you start to get in a situation like this, and you're like, and I remember thinking this at the time, like, why do we do this? Like, why don't the consumers just come here and then just decide what they want to buy, right? And you could literally get consumers to product to buy faster than you ever could. So if anyone's out there that runs trade shows, let's talk, because I think there's a way to do this, quite honestly, that could be really, really just mind-blowing and disruptive. But yeah, I think that's kind of the ethos you're capturing here, which is like, let's just get all of the cool product to market fast through these cool events, and technology enables it now, whether it's a fashion show or sitting in a dog park, you can buy whatever the hell you see. So like, let's make it happen. And yeah, that's fascinating to think about where that, you can see I'm getting excited in my voice about where that's going to go. I don't know, Carter, anything to add here?
Yeah, I think you're going to see, I think it's amazing. I think it's really cool. I think you're going to see more tactics like this. I think there's even a bridge to some of the stuff Amazon's doing within the Mall of America, right? Where they're saying there's not all the products that not all the products that you see on Amazon do you want to buy on Amazon because you want to touch, you want to feel it, you want to look at it, you want to do all that stuff that only physical retail experiences can do. Well, who needs the store? Who needs whatever? Let's do this amazing festival and bring all of these businesses who are, toiling or investing a lot into the actual product to showcase, the product's value, the product's intricate details that you're not able to see no matter how good the photos or video are online. And you might as well, as Alibaba, do it yourself.
And it's about immersing yourself in the product first.
Totally.
You don't have the noise outside of you. It's all about really experiencing and having a one-on-one connection with the maker themselves first before you're,
Which is still a different experience of the brand too. I think
Yeah.
that's what we still need to keep in mind too.
Yep.
Like it's still a different way to do it. Whether you can do it through social media or whatever marketing vehicle you want, but that's still different.
Yep.
Cool. Well, Carter, I'll close it up. But where do you want to go next for story number 4?
I was thinking about talking about another smaller company, Google,
Okay.
right?
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I know you guys are scared of Amazon and the dominance of Amazon, so we'll shift it up a little bit. We'll go into Google. Google's releasing a whole bunch of, or a few new ad products in advance.
Yeah.
I
I think I've had like 6 emails from this week.
Oh
from
yeah,
different
totally.
people.
So this is probably not new news for anyone, but they're introducing shoppable image ads and then also video showcases in advance of the holiday season. And the idea is that they're giving marketers another place to showcase this content in terms of allowing the viewers like us, we might be sitting on a blog or we might be sitting on a website, we see a Google ad served, and it's actually going to be a shoppable experience. So we're going to be able to hover over it, we're going to be able to see pricing and things like that. And the hope is that Google's introducing this in a way to give retailers or brands a way to have a closer relationship with the consumer of their ad product. So, I think they see Amazon's advancement in the ad world and are getting a little scared. I think they're seeing, all the people who are also starting search, as Chris, you've talked about a lot,
Right.
on Amazon alone, and Google's saying, well, we also have a shopping product. Like,
Right.
We're here too.
Let's close some of those sales.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're still a huge player in the game, so why are we not advancing some of our ad units to reflect kind of the new world order here? So
Well-
it'll be interesting to see.
And for those first product searches that aren't being done on Amazon, this is going to be the data collected from this and how quickly you'll be able to get to product will be super interesting. Because, just to break it down for some of those of you who are listening who might not know how this works, it's as simple as I type in the Google search field, little black dress, and there you go. Now I have images, videos of 50,000 black dresses that I can watch a video of and purchase. Before, you would have had to dig and try to figure out, if it wasn't, tagged with metadata that says this is a Diane von Furstenberg black dress, you're searching for hours and you're not able to get directly to the product. And so I think that the ease of use and the ability that people, or I guess the methods by which people are searching for products, this is so casual and normal, and that I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that picks up once this becomes part of your practice of searching.
Yeah, it's e-commerce 101. If you don't, I think the big point you guys have here is, right, it's like, if you don't think Google's a retailer, you got another thing coming. Like,
Right.
They definitely are. So, and this shows it. So, all right, well, last story of the week, Carter was joking about big company. I feel like it's an episode of Scott Galloway's The Four, but let's go to Facebook now,
Yep.
okay? Now, so Facebook, strange bedfellows in the industry right now. So Facebook is now partnering with Macy's on Macy's pop-up concept. So the market at Macy's, that's basically the store within the store. And the idea is in about 9 stores over the course of next year for the holiday season, I think actually is when they're going to start this. They're going to start partnering with Facebook to curate what the selection of local retail product is going to be within those market spaces. So I think it's a big win. Macy's definitely thinking about things the right way. It's curious, like we've always said, it's curious to see how we're curious to see how they'll pull it off. But they're going to have an understanding from a data perspective of who those retailers could be. That'll be more tailored locally to the community. That's got to be great for Macy's. And then I got to think for Facebook, though, beware the Trojan horse here, too, Macy's. Facebook is going to get some incredible data here on how these things are performing and start to really be able to understand this and possibly be able to enter the retail arena both online and maybe physically over time in a way they haven't before.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask too. I'm not as familiar with this, so I'm glad you brought it up, Chris. But I would just be curious, and I think it's probably a data play, as you mentioned. But why would Facebook enter into this relationship, right? It seems like they're handing over a lot of really great data to Macy's, and why? And I'm sure it's a data thing, right? They're going to be able to get the shopper information in return. They're going to see what performs best, and they'll be able to make decisions in a Trojan horse type of way. So maybe that's it.
Go ahead, Ann.
I was just going to say, from my understanding, they're utilizing Facebook to source the people for the market, but I don't know as far as when if we're going to get down to the nuts and bolts of
Yeah,
it and start
right.
talking about
Exactly
point of
how
sale
it works.
systems
Yeah.
again, are they checking out through Facebook's platform or Macy's? I think
It's
understanding
through,
those.
through Macy's. They'll check out through Macy's
Okay.
platform, but basically through their point of sale. That's how their pop-ups work. But I think it's more just they're curating, and then they'll have a joint understanding. I think to answer your question, Macy's needs Facebook probably in the long run far more than Facebook needs Macy's. So I'm
That's what I'm saying,
I'm not sure if Facebook's
this
worried
isn't-
about getting overcommitted here.
The
at any
headline
point in
alone,
time.
I'm just wondering why. You know how much I love Macy's, but the
Right.
Facebook
suit
allowing
shopping
your name
experience.
to sit next to a retailer like that is an interesting.
They're just casually
Yeah.
dating at this point.
Or maybe and maybe that's why they're picking
They're
them.
not FBO, right? So
Picking the partner that maybe doesn't have a chance. I don't know. We'll
Right.
see. All right. Well, that closes up. Different format today. Please let us know what you thought of it online. Please remember to like, subscribe. Every like and share you guys put out on social media really helps. And every subscription to our YouTube channels and our podcast channels go a long way as well. Couple of announcements, just housekeeping. Like I said, if you haven't checked out the Jeff Bezos interview with the Washington Club or the Economic Club of Washington, you should do so. It's fantastic. Big game for the Stanford Cardinal this week. They're playing the Oregon Ducks, so I'll be watching it at home with Carter's grandfather-in-law. Shout out to Ernie Dorn, big former Stanford football player. And then we're on hiatus next week as well because Ann and I are traveling. We're out at Retail Spaces in Scottsdale and then out at the Advantage Insights Summit in Austin, Texas as well. But we'll be back next week. So on behalf of everyone, as always, be careful out there.